Hello, friends, and good evening. My name is Mary Whitehurst, and I want to welcome you to my second edition of Real Talk Wednesday. So today, briefly, because I don't, it's not my intention for these vlog entries to be very, very long, but I want to briefly just share a few reflections from this past Monday. This past Monday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And there was a lot surrounding that, a lot of speeches and marches and inspirational things that people posted on social media, and just a lot of service that day. And it made me think about, I guess, just my own personal experience with inequality and injustice and how that shaped me. I feel like I have a pretty well rounded group of friends. I have a lot of different acquaintances of all ethnic backgrounds, races, sexes, etc. But it's not something that comes up in conversation very often. So I thought I'd just share my thoughts. I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, the first 12 years of my life. And as many of you may or may not know, Memphis, Tennessee has always been a turbulent area, and the area of racism and discrimination in the South. At the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee was where Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. And so I grew up with a sense and a recognition and awareness that racism existed, but I didn't really experience it myself until probably the first time was in second grade. I had a teacher who very blatantly and without apology favored the white students in our class. I was in what was considered in my school the optional program. It wasn't quite like gifted and talented, but there was the optional program and then there was the traditional program. And you had to test to get into the optional program. So it was a little bit more advanced. They expected you to do more homework, to know more, to be a little bit brighter, I guess, than the traditional classes. And there were only a handful of black students usually in the optional classes. It never bothered me until I started noticing just favoritism and complimenting of other students that never seemed, and she never seemed to compliment me or pick me for things that I volunteered for. And I just remember thinking something about me is not good enough. I think even then I didn't completely equate it to being because I had a different skin color. But I always remember thinking something about me isn't good enough for her to compliment me on my work and to pick me when I volunteer for things or call on me in class even. I can remember telling her one day or asking, can I please sit closer to the board because I can't see? And she refused to let me move closer even though there were desks available. And I complained or not complained, but I asked persistently for about a week, can I please sit closer because I can't really see what's up there? And she, I guess, thought I was lying or didn't understand why I needed to sit closer, to the point where I had to tell my mom, I can't see the board in class. Now, granted, I'm second grade, so I'm 7 years old. And my mom had to take me to get an eye exam and find out that I needed glasses because I couldn't see the board. My teacher never acknowledged that I had gotten glasses and that was helping me see the board better, and that was probably the reason why I was asking to sit closer. But when I think back to that experience, it left an imprint on me that made me feel as if I always have to do above and beyond everyone around me to get recognized. And it wasn't necessarily something that was justified. I was not treated that way by other white teachers that I had in elementary school or even growing up past that. But that one experience in second grade always has made me feel like I have to stand out. If I'm going to be one of a few black students, I have to stand out. I have to push harder. I have to be better at everything. And in some ways, that has driven me to be really successful. And in other ways, it has led to stress and anxiety and a lot of other unhealthy things too. And so when I reflect on that and I reflect on what Martin Luther King Jr. Day means to me and what the civil rights struggle means to me, and the idea that there has been enough progress, even in the last 20 years, to where my son may not have that same experience when he starts school. But then the realization that he still might, that it's not gone, that progress doesn't mean that racism has been eradicated. And I read something really interesting that Chris Rock said. He talked about how it's not that African Americans, blacks in the United States have made so much progress. It's really that the majority, that whites have made more progress, because there have always been intelligent black children and adults and people, brought up the right way with manners and self-control and all these things that are socially acceptable, but it just hasn't always been recognized. And that really sat with me, because it was like, you know what, that's so true. My parents were raised right. They were raised with manners and to excel and to exceed. Both my parents were the first generation in their families to go to college. So it's like, maybe it's not that we've come so far as the majority has come farther in accepting us as equals. And that's good, but the work's not finished. And so I just wanted to kind of be real and share my heart on that. It scares me to think about some of the things that have happened in our country recently, especially involving black men in the police. As a mother of a little black boy, that worries me. As a black woman who's been in the car with my father and my husband when they've been pulled over for no reason other than the color of their skin, maybe in the wrong neighborhood, maybe in a neighborhood where they looked out of place, to have witnessed that and to know what it does to them, how it makes them feel. I just hope that my son doesn't have to experience that. He's only 3. And I hope that our society continues to progress to a place that he doesn't fear the police. He doesn't look to them as someone that he needs to be suspicious of, that he can trust that the people who are there to protect and serve are really going to do that. And so many of them are. It really hurts my heart that it's the few who are the exception, that make the fear present. Because, I know a lot of men and women who serve and as police officers or sheriff's deputies, and these are good people, and most of them are good people, but the few who are involved in these types of incidences and have a disregard for human life, because social media is so prevalent, because the videos are taken on the scene that it can be out there so quickly, it just puts it in our face. It's not even necessarily that it hasn't been happening, it's just that it's in our face now. So now that it's in our face, we have to acknowledge it and try to do what we can to make changes. And I just really hope and pray that we continue to move forward, that the dream that Dr. King had continues to be realized. Because in a lot of ways, it is being realized. But I just hope that we continue each day to see each other as just equals, as human beings, as people created in God's image, who He loves us all the same, and we should love each other. So it's a little idealistic, but I feel like it's possible. We are created by a God who loves us and has called us to love, and I think we can do it if we push past our prejudices and our predispositions and our prejudgments of people. So that's my edition for Real Talk Wednesday today. I would love to hear you guys' comments, feedback, positive, negative, questions, anything. Drop them in the comments below, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks.